It might have been one of the biggest things that I missed during the COVID lockdowns. For months, even handshakes seemed dangerous. Being deprived of human touch was hard, but at least I was surrounded by my family. But I was sad as I thought about people who lived alone and experienced the deprivation even more acutely. To me, touch is a powerful point of connection. Touch is something core to being human. It is a tangible way to be with another person. Within Judaism, you can't be authentically human all by yourself. People need people to be people. I read something by Rabbi Harold Kushner where he described taking a college course in anthropology. And many years later, all he could remember was a single line. It was one sentence: one chimpanzee cannot be a chimpanzee. Kushner explained that the chimpanzee needs a community of chimps before his essential nature can emerge. And in much the same way, one human being isolated from others cannot really be fully human. We need the companionship of others to let our humanity emerge. I agree with Kushner. The various degrees of isolation we experienced this past year stunted us in many ways, from children's social and emotional development to the very real challenges to our mental well-being. Being separated from each other was hard. When my mom finally was able to visit for Shosh's bat mitzvah in March, we cried at the first hug. And seeing Mom hug my nephew for the first time was powerful. Zoom is amazing, but people and maybe even chimpanzees need touch. There's a passage in the Talmud in which Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi says, one who sees his friend after 30 days recites the Shechianu blessing. And if he sees him after 12 months, he recites Mechae HaMetim. Baruch atah Adonai Mechae HaMetim. Praise God who has brought the dead to life. The blessing is usually understood to mean that if a person, someone that is close to you and hasn't been part of your life for an entire year, it's as if that person was lost, metaphorically dead. When you reconnect, though, they are restored to you and they have come back to life and into your life. The Talmud explains that after a year, your lives have drifted apart. Experiences have happened which you have not shared with the other person. Jobs change, children grow, relationships begin, relationships end. And after a year of being apart, the Talmud quotes a verse from Psalms to describe the distance which has been created in the relationship. Nishkachti kemet milev, hayiti kichli oved. I am forgotten as a dead person out of mind. I am like a lost object, which is eventually forgotten. But Kushner suggests we can also understand reciting this blessing in a different way. Maybe from Rabbi Hoshua's perspective, the one who has been brought back to life isn't just the friend. Maybe you are also brought back to life. Isolated, you've been less fully alive. You have been deprived of the gift of human companionship. And I know this is true during COVID. This summer offered a slight window of reprieve. And I loved giving and receiving hugs and handshakes. I have seen real smiles, which have been previously been covered up by masks or distorted by poor Zoom lighting. In his essay, Values, Psychology, and Human Existence, Erich Fromm wrote, "The necessity to unite with other living beings, to be related to them, is an imperative need on which the fulfillment of man's sanity depends." COVID, social isolation, fear, anxiety. Since last Rosh Hashanah, the strain has been immense. Again, we need to share our lives with people to keep ourselves human. Just about 200 years ago, Emile Durkheim, a pioneering French sociologist and grandson of the chief rabbi of Paris, set out to study the Australian Aborigines. Durkheim felt that they practiced the most basic form of religion. He wanted to learn what religion looked like before it got involved with sacred books and creeds and building funds. He discovered that at its most basic, the first and most essential task of religion was not to connect people with God, but actually to connect people with people. According to Durkheim, religion is something eminently social. Recognizing the social origins of religion, Durkheim argued that religion acted as a source of solidarity. Religion provides a meaning for life, and it's a critical part of a social society. Since I first read Durkheim in high school, I've always been fascinated by these ideas. And 18 months into COVID, I see how so many people, myself included, have been starved for human contact. So if religion is about connecting people with each other so as to help them realize their full humanity, then maybe we need religion and religious community in a way that we had taken for granted before. If disconnection is the problem, let me suggest that part of the cure can be found in this room, in the sanctuary, and in the virtual rooms as well. I know that it's also being found in backyards and parks and porches on the holidays as well. So being part of the shul community can help pull us out of isolation and into community. That is certainly a partial antidote. Some are using this moment as an off-ramp from Jewish life. But many at Bethel have been using Jewish rituals and practices to gain a deeper sense of connection and belonging and purpose. COVID lockdowns left us in a limbo, seemingly without time. There were instances where I didn't know if it was Tuesday or if it was Thursday. Did I have that conversation yesterday or last week? I know many felt the same sense of timelessness. But people shared with me how revisiting simple Shabbat practices helped shape time within an amorphous COVID week. Gathering family in person or on Zoom to light Shabbat candles on Friday, it marked time. Streaming Shabbat services or evening minyanim or morning minyanim helped create structure along with a sense of communal connection. Engaging in Skolnick adult education classes stimulated people's intellect and uplifted Tuesday mornings or Wednesday evenings. People were drawn out of the continual burden of isolation. And further, participating in food drives, delivering meals, shopping for people in need, and checking in on neighbors made sure that people maintained a sense of purpose. There will certainly be more to do as we re-engage our refugee committee to support efforts of resettling Afghanis in the area. Already, part of our food drive on Yom Kippur will be to support resettlement as well as manna food. So look for more information about that in this upcoming week, and let me know if you want to engage and to support this resettlement effort that is going on. Seeing Bethel as a place of connection and purpose, and not just transactions, it has buoyed people during these hard times. This is a powerful frame for Jewish life, connections, not transactions. Bethel at our best strives to create something far deeper than transactional moments. We want you and your family to be inspired by these values. Recently, a survey was done within the shul asking people to describe how they felt when they were at Bethel. And they described the shul as inclusive and welcoming and community-oriented, relevant. These are descriptions of experiences and emotions. Rather than asking what programs do you want at Bethel, the leadership and I are asking, how do you feel at Bethel? What elicits those feelings? How can we facilitate communal and Jewish activities and connections around those feelings? These types of questions, rather than about transactions, will lead us to a different type of answer and approaches. In the Talmud, Hillel said, Al tifros min hatzibur. Do not separate yourself from the community. I have realized this to be true in so many ways. We need to share our lives with other people in order to thrive Jewishly. Being Jewish can't be a solo enterprise. It's interesting. Hundreds of people gathered here in the sanctuary and far, far more online. But the purpose of congregational prayer is not to tell God things that God otherwise would not know. It is not to fulfill a homework assignment of reciting a certain number of Hebrew words to sanctify God. The purpose of congregational prayer on the high holidays or on Shabbat or on the weekdays is to take several hundred discrete individuals and meld them into a congregation of shared experiences. The diverse and creative activities at Bethel do more than simply fill a calendar. They are mechanisms for overcoming our isolation as individuals and becoming part of something bigger and greater than ourselves. Bethel is here to help you connect. Rabbi Megdal, Chazan Fratkin, and myself, we want to connect with you and to help you connect with each other. It can be hard to sense God's presence in our daily lives. If we're lucky, we can find it in the songs and in the silence of congregational prayer, and we can feel it as we fill the backpacks with school supplies or other acts of chesed or sharing in each other's joys and hardships. We're not here this morning because God takes attendance and factors it into our grade for the coming year. Only your mom does that. We're here because we are binding our lives, our families, our community to the Jewish people. We are tethering ourselves in time and space. We are here for each other. And I believe that that is exactly where God can powerfully be felt. This past year, I missed the energy of human contact. It is like a vitamin that I was depleted of. We need each other to be fully human, and COVID has complicated that. But Judaism guides us to nourish our humanity, to make us more human than we ever have been before. And if that happens, then we will also find the divine in the new year. The author Jane Howard wrote, "Call it a clan, call it a network, call it a tribe, call it a family, whatever you call it, whoever you are, you need one. You need one because you are human." I don't know what will happen with COVID. I do know, though, this is the time to strengthen your connection with Judaism, with Bethel, and maybe even with the dusty Shabbat candle holders. Shana Tova.